Hello! This is Jay.
This is Shane.
Sorry. Sorry. I'm AJ.
And I'm Mike.
And this is the Eternia FOUR. Well, for topic number one, guys, back on June 10th, Prince Adam and He-Man actor Nicholas Galitzine, not gasoline, Galitzine, announced through social media that he has finally finished filming the new live-action Master Universe movie coming from Amazon, MGM, and Mattel Studios. Along with that announcement, Nicholas Galitzine shared an exciting new image of himself donning his He-Man costume. Positioned with his back facing the camera, Nicholas appeared in silhouette with his sword on his back and his hands curled into fists, standing in front of what appeared to be a well-lit studio wall. Upon revealing this image, reaction towards the new He-Man photo seems to be mixed. Some reacting towards the costume itself, but most reacting to the overall physique of Nicholas Galitzine, and if he was large enough to embody the most powerful man in the universe. And then he broke into a Chippendales moment. But today we ask, what is your thoughts? What are our thoughts regarding this new image of Nicholas Galitzine as He-Man, not just towards his costume and physique, but regarding the overall reaction to his image as well? And I'm going to go to AJ.
Starting with me first. I was hoping you wouldn't.
Okay, I can do somebody else.
No. Go ahead. This is it. So this one's a tough one for me. And I have a lot of emotions about this that go back. Okay, so I have a confession to make, right? That I've had these thoughts. These exact three thoughts. One, they picked the wrong character or the wrong actor for the role. Two, the actor is too small for the role. Three, what the hell was the studio doing? Now, I've had these thoughts, but I didn't have it this year. I didn't even have it this decade. I had it in 1988. Yes, I'm that old. When Warner Brothers announced that Michael Keaton was going to play Bruce Wayne and Batman in the 1989 Batman film, Batman. And I also had these feelings in 2007 when Marvel Studios announced that Robert Downey Jr. was going to play Tony Stark, aka Iron Man, in their new Iron Man film that was coming out in 2008. And that was just like beyond crazy to me, because if you guys remember, Robert Downey Jr. was like, had a major drug problem. He was in and out of jail. I think he said he was addicted to crack cocaine. He was always in the tabloids. And a lot of people thought he was going to OD in the next couple of years. He thought he was going to OD, end up dead. So when they cast Robert Downey Jr. at the time, I was like, Marvel, what are you doing? But Michael Keaton and Robert Downey Jr., to me, are the best live action incarnations, perfect, of Bruce Wayne / Batman and Tony Stark / Iron Man. And I believe Nicholas Galitzine is going to join that group. But I learned something through the years. I learned something about preconceived notions. Look, we all love the vintage figure, right? We all love the massive size of the vintage figure. But actor Dolph Lundgren, he didn't measure up to that vintage figure. He wasn't as huge like those massive bodybuilders in that vintage figure type. I mean, he has muscles. He had more muscles than Nicholas Galitzine, but gasoline. But he was actually more lanky. You know what? He was more like the Masterverse figures that are behind me here. He had this more lanky body type that people actually complain that Masterverse doesn't have that vintage size, that vintage bulk. But if you consider that film a failure, Was Dolph Lundgren's body the reason for that failure? No. You know, it was the story, if you consider it a failure, the costumes, the script, the budget, the fact they went to Earth, you know, but no one points to the undersized physique of Dolph Lundgren. You know, again, it's preconceived notions. Now, I didn't like this whole thing that happened with Nicholas Galitzine, you know, because everyone, if I go through the Eternia.com, like Facebook posts and so forth like that, they're at least half negative. I would say they're more than half negative. They went kind of, what's the word when they go viral? They went a little viral. And I have a lot more comments than I normally have. And a lot of them are negative and saying he's not big enough to be He-Man. But I want to take everyone back. I want to take everyone back first to the first time we saw him as Prince Adam / He-Man. And I think it was Prince Adam first. We saw Nicholas Galitzine, this buff kind of guy in Filmation pink, in Filmation white, looking like the spitting image of Prince Adam from the Filmation cartoon. And he had the Filmation power sword, and he looked fantastic. And I think the majority of people thought he looked fantastic. Then fast forward to He-Man. We got this promotional picture of He-Man, and it, you know, it didn't show his face, but it showed his body, his bicep muscles, him holding the power sword. It was the first promotional image of He-Man released by Amazon, MGM, and Mattel Films, and it looked fantastic. And the majority of people liked what they saw, and they raved about it, and there weren't people complaining. Then fast forward to this latest post that Nicholas Galitzine put on Instagram when he announced it was his last day of filming. Look, I equate it this way. The actor who played Trapjaw, his name is Sam C. Wilson. He went to Instagram and said, when I announced my last day of filming, I'm just paraphrasing, I wanted to do something special. You know, you could tell he didn't just want to do a picture of a Trapjaw chair empty with no one sitting in it. You know, he wanted to do something special. So he was able to release a little image of him in Trapjaw makeup of his eye. And you saw the green eye and you saw the green skin around. And obviously he had to get approval, right, from Mattel to release an image like that. But he wanted to do something special to commemorate his last day of filming, which I'm sure Mattel approved. So I imagine this photo that Nicholas Galitzine did as well was the same sort of gesture, the same sort of good feeling gesture. Like he was going to do his last day of filming. He didn't just want to share behind the scenes photos. He wanted to give fans a taste of something. And that was this silhouette picture of He-Man against this bright white wall and his back facing the camera. And unfortunately, I think that was the worst image they could do. The worst image they could use. It didn't do him any favors. People started, especially with new muscle, at least I've learned in my experience, you know, I used to work out a lot. I work out a little now. But if someone who has like new muscle and stuff like that, they could look really muscled from the front. They could look really muscled from the side. But from the backs, not so much. Like if you're showing off like a bicep, you know, and you go, hey, that bicep's pretty big. But then when you start walking behind him, it starts to flatten out and it doesn't look as huge, you know? And the camera was right behind him and his arms didn't look as big. And if they would have captured him from any other angle, I think people would have been raving about him. Or if they actually said, Nick, let's put together another promotional picture. Let's get you in the proper lighting to accentuate those muscles. They even have makeup to accentuate the muscles, to make the muscles pop. You know, they have this little shadow makeup to go in the abdomen to make it really stand out. And I really think that would have done Nick favor, but unfortunately, this was the worst kind of picture they could release. And immediately, all these people saw this image and said, Nick doesn't have muscles and he's too skinny. And I think that next picture he came out with, that front picture, was sort of damage control, you know, because I think he saw all the reactions too. So it's a shame this went that way. I'm still a huge fan. I still can't wait for Nicholas Galitzine. I'm still 100% convinced, even more convinced that he's the right man for the role. But unfortunately for the community, it looks like, you got some goodwill to build again. Unfortunately, that's going to take some time before this movie comes out. A good trailer will do the justice. Now, real quick, in regards to the costume, I like the costume. I like the fact, and I know Jay's really going to get into it, but I like the fact that it looks like the Mondo figure. The first person to ever point that out to me, even before I noticed it, was this guy named Orange Clown, and he. But it does look like the Mondo, the first, version 1 Mondo He-Man, kind of come to life. I mean, do I love the furry loincloth? Of course I do. And do I love the traditional Filmation power harness? Of course I do. But I wasn't really set on a particular He-Man costume. I do believe this looks better than the 1987 film. And I do like the leather look to the leather skirt. I think it's a good look for this particular He-Man, and I'm excited about that. I love the power sword. What's really interesting, guys, is it's really interesting. If you see the brightened image, the power sword isn't in a sheath, but it looks like it's clipped in like a toy. It looks like it's clipped in right into the armor. And I'm like, is this something to sort of give, vintage collectors the feeling of like the toy used to give? I mean, in regards that, Masters of the Universe Revelation, He-Man used to keep the sword tucked in his armor, and that's what we would do as kids. When we had the vintage figure, we'd slide the actual power sword inside his vintage power harness. He didn't have a sheath for on the vintage figure, so this just gives me like an action figure feel, and I like that. And I overall like the costume very much. So do I think this was the best picture to release? Do I think they should have thought it out a little more? To be honest with you, when you brighten it up, also Nick's hair looks like it's very mad. It looked like he slept on it and then was just put in this picture. So I really think if hindsight being 2020, they would have put a little more effort into it. And like I said, they're going to need to work on some goodwill, some positive imagery to kind of erase all these negative feelings. So I wish they could go back and do it, but I still love what I'm seeing, and I can't wait to see Nick on screen as Prince Adam and He-Man. So I think I'm going to bounce it now to Mike.
Heyo. All right. I mean, AJ, you took a lot of what I was going to say. Basically, I'm right there with you. First impression of that photo was it was underwhelming. It was not He-Man size. It was not what you would expect, your He-Man to look like. I think a lot of people thought that he looked too small, and I, for lack of a better word, underwhelming. Now, when I'm seeing photos of some other folks, I follow a gentleman named Hellspawn Cosplay. He's like AKA Black He-Man. He's a big dude. He's ripped. And he put up some pictures of himself as He-Man. And it's pretty much right on par with where Nick is in the look and size. And, thinking about it more, I'm like, it's gonna look good. He's gonna fill that. It's that Filmation look is what I think they're going for. They're looking for that Filmation He-Man, which is not, muscles on top of muscles. It's a nice, lean cut, big guy. And AJ, you're right with the makeup and everything. They can make the cuts even deeper and shadow it right to make this guy look like beyond ripped. Give him a 8-pack instead of a 6-pack, right? All kinds of stuff they can do with the post-production for sure. But yeah, I'm completely with you. There was a lot of negativity on my post about it. The next post was definitely damage control, him showing off the freaking bicep and making sure, don't worry, guys, I put in the work. The sword work was amazing. I think, if he's flinging around the power sword as fast as he was flinging around that sword in that video, man, that's going to look pretty crazy. Those are pretty much, just to keep it short and sweet, those are my thoughts on it. It was underwhelming at first, but, agree with you. I had worries when he was first cast, like, this isn't the right guy. This guy's known for romantic comedies. This isn't an action hero star. But, you know, you make a good case especially with Michael Keaton. There was a lot of worry about him being Batman, and he's my favorite Batman now. And I know he's a lot of Gen X favorite Batman for sure. Yeah. Let's pass it on to Mega J, since Jay, you had a whole video on this.
Did I? I don't remember. Like my memory isn't as good as it used to be. No, you know what? I'm just going to echo a lot of what AJ said. But I think, and you know what, Mike, you brought up a couple of points that I was going to bring up anyway. But I really do believe, looking at all these photos over the past couple of months, that what I'm taking away from this, actually, and I'll do it this way, because I think my video did cover a lot of what I wanted to say. But not only that, you two have pretty much also reinforced what I was saying in the video anyway. So I'm just going to go ahead and say, yes, I agree with multiple points that you guys both have mentioned just now. But for me, I think the takeaway I want to have from this is that, looking at the background of that makeshift gym that they put on the studio floor, just to make sure that they are all, you know, ripped and ready to go, you know, whenever, because that's really what it ends up being. Before they go on a shoot, they want to make sure that all these guys are honestly tight and you know, have the diuretics ready when it's time to, like, really get that stuff going. But you know, not talking about bodybuilding at all. But yes, you're right. The makeup and everything like that is really going to be front facing on this, and there are camera tricks and things that can be done. But I think there's the other problem. I think that it was just a bad idea to do a silhouette shot on that whiteboard. That was just crazy. That was just nuts. The problem with white bleed on, and you any filmmaker will tell you this, when you have a white light, there's a real problem. It was actually a backlight white light. And then when you have that coming at you, your entire frame seems to disappear to the edges. Like they actually disappear, right? Because the bleed off the light, especially if you're naked. I mean, like, if you got nothing on you, the bleed of the light literally travels to the other side, and it's got this, like, haze pattern that actually shows up on your shoulders and on your frame. So that did not do him any favors. He actually lost about, I would say, about 5 or 6% of muscle mass just by doing that shot, in my overall opinion. But I will say that as far as his look and what we saw, I really think somebody at Mondo really should put in for some some royalties. I mean, like, that's just my overall opinion on that. I mean, like, I've never seen that gauntlet anywhere outside of Mondo. Somebody's been cheating on that one. I think somebody was inspired. All right, I think somebody was inspired by that shot. And it's interesting to me, as I said in the video, that they're actually giving the Roman-esque kilt to He-Man. I thought that was fascinating, because he's not wearing just a single piece of leather. No, it's actually the Roman divided kilt. And what's even more fascinating, and I'm not 100% sure this is actually real, but you can actually see the skull heraldry of Grayskull on those tassels, right at the bottom, at least as far as when it's brightened up. We could be completely wrong on that, but that is a very carryover, once again, from the Mondo design on Skeletor, right? So it's fascinating what again, inspiration. But I think that is also encouraging, as what AJ said. It looks like they're taking some toy cues, right, from the toys. And the other thing I wanted to mention, which I didn't mention in my video, I think somebody's a Shadiversity fan. And if you guys don't know who Shadiversity is, he's actually I believe he's Australian, sword tuber, who's very much into medieval weaponry. And one of his biggest video lines is, "Can you make a sword?" Like, basically, he debunks the idea that anyone who would use a sword on a regular basis would even dare to carry it on their back, because it's like, you basically gotta shuffle it out of there. Whereas that was a really bad anyway. The thing you got to do, though, he designed a sheath which allows you to actually go like this, which actually lets you do an almost like fulcrum type of release. And it looks to me, if you look at the way the scabbard, I'm going to call it a scabbard, but if you look at the toy piece that AJ that mentioned, it actually looks like it's shorter on one side and longer on the other, meaning that it can actually be removed exactly the way it would if you were have it on your back. So there's a lot of actual intelligent thinking behind what the design process on this production, which is fabulous. But all that aside, all the little nitpicks about size, girth, mass, right? All those things aside, one of the big things that a lot of people don't appreciate as much is, and even I as a kid recognized this, Dolph Lundgren didn't really talk much in Master Universe. There's a good reason for that. He could barely speak English. Okay. I love the guy as an actor. He's fabulous. He's a freaking genius. I mean, he's got doctrines in like 3 or 4 different sign. He's an actual doctor. You know what I mean? Absolutely crazy. But back, Ivan Drago and Master Universe He-Man. It was amazing that he could actually do all that. I'm pretty sure there was some ADR after the fact. I mean, I think there must have been. But the reality is, he was not. His dialogue was restricted to very key scenes, very key moments, and the ones that freaking mattered. I have the power. That was like, to this day, every time I see that moment where he's literally like taking the power sword from its lock and just lifting it up aloft, and I was like, oh my god, this makes up for the entire freaking movie. And it was really the reason why I keep watching it on a semi-annual basis. Like, seriously, I will always love that film. You can fight me on that. Anybody can fight me on that. I still consider it one of the best kids movies of all time. Anyway, aside from all that, it doesn't matter how big Nicholas is. It doesn't matter how, and he's getting pretty big. Even as you said, AJ, even in Prince Adam regalia, there's no way you can't tell that this guy's gigantic. He's freaking huge. Like, he is absolutely massive. But as you said, with the light in the background, it doesn't do him any favors. But that damage control shot, honestly, to me, I can see it. And I've been I've been one of the most outspoken people about this film, right? But this film, these shots, like everything that they've done about this is giving me bigger hope. But it's not because of what they've been releasing, which are leaked. Yeah, whatever, man. That's not what's been giving me hope. What's actually been giving me hope is what I see in the background. Because what I see in the background is reinforcement and, honestly, almost a roadmap for a Bible for Filmation He-Man. In that makeshift gym, and this has been since day one, ever since they started releasing these photos, all I see are animation cells, huge reprinted animation cells of key scenes into the Filmation story. And that, to me, is really what defines this film, because it proves to me that the production cast on this, everybody who's writing this and getting this, is invested in making this into a love letter for the fans, at least as far as they can. Budgetary concerns, everything about it. I think Travis Knight is on the right path. And from what we saw from the CinemaCon and in Las Vegas, everybody talking about how they left the theater and everybody's in regalia, and it's literally like cartoon accurate. That really speaks volumes to me. And I agree with Mike 100%. If you look at Filmation He-Man, he is a more realistic physique for a taller He-Man, right? Someone who's a little bit taller, because the traditional He-Man from the 1982 release, he's shorter than Arnold Schwarzenegger, but he's got the girth of Arnold Schwarzenegger. Like, he's got a Mr. Olympia type of physique. And I think that's what was popular at the time. But later on, they started realizing that, what seems to look better on camera, on film, on television is a little bit taller, a little bit more heroic, a little bit more Adam that was created by Michelangelo, right? I think that's what was realized much later on. And it's forwarded to all the action figures we have today, starting with classics. Classics, they're a lot more lean in terms of that. They're still muscular, but they are leaner, right? Same thing with Masterverse. Same thing with every other He-Man figure that's gone afterwards. As a matter of fact, New Adventures, which was the successor to Master Universe Filmation, he was about as lean a He-Man as you can ever get. So it's interesting that Powerhouse Animation made him the freaking yoked as hell. Like he was massive. I remember the first time I saw him in that wonderful trailer. I was like, dude, this guy is huge. He's like 12 feet tall. You know what I mean? Just massive. And kudos to you guys. Seriously, I love that. But at the same time, wow. You're never going to get that in a human being when we're actually getting on who can actually act. I mean, I said it on the video too. I think Brian Cage is probably going to be as close to a He-Man as you're ever going to get, like a real life He-Man as you're ever going to get. But you need somebody with chops to be able to pull off a performance the way we need it, and that is the measure of this film. The cast was chosen for a reason. The cast was chosen to carry a children's film, a children's cartoon line, into something which is palatable for wider audiences. And I myself have been the biggest outspoken person on this, but I do have to say, I'm seeing light at the end of the tunnel. Shane.
All right. Well, you guys have great points and have said a lot of things that I agree with and that I wanted to say. I guess I'll start with, like, I think he looks great. I mean, I think he looks like He-Man. The weight and muscle he was able to put on, I'm really impressed with. I think his, overall, the pictures I've seen, his hair looks great. Getting a look at that costume, I thought that looked awesome. I like the leather look. I agree with Jay. I think that there's a lot of inspiration there from Mondo. And I think that it, takes away some of the silliness, so to speak, of the fur diaper and some of the other things that, we have grown to know and love. I think he looks great. I also agree that it was a terrible picture. It was underwhelming, and it probably should not have been released first. It did, and we're here talking about it. So as somebody who has been a part of, sort of trying to rebrand and, do your own spin on a He-Man, I have a lot of admiration and appreciation for what they're doing. I think that they're doing a lot of stuff right. And I by no means am going to sit here and hate on them in any capacity. That said, I still do feel underwhelmed. Now that damage control picture that came out, again, he looks great. He is big. I think what my worry is, and I think Jay's mentioned this as well, like, there's camera tricks that can be used, right? Lord of the Rings did it masterfully. It did it better than anybody to make big actors small and small actors big, etc. So I'm hoping that we see some of that. But based on some of the footage that we've seen, He-Man and Teela running in the streets and things like that, I don't know how they're going to do that with camera tricks. Maybe they do some stuff in post-production, but my guess is it is going to be what it's going to be. And I think what it's lacking for me personally is, AJ, I'm going to use your Batman and Iron Man examples as sort of a launch pad for what I'm trying to get to here.
Okay.
While I agree, Michael Keaton, I thought, was a dorky choice for Batman. He is my favorite Batman. Robert Downey Jr., however you feel about him coming back as Dr. Doom, is a whole nother conversation, but agreed. I was like, I see some of it with Iron Man and Tony Stark, but I was a little weary. The difference here for me is that those are both more grounded characters. They're playboys who put on suits, and their suits are what make them larger than life. And in my head, as you see in Revelation and Revolution, not that it was my choice, but it is how I see it in my head. I see He-Man as the most powerful being in the universe, and I see him not being, the Incredible Hulk by any means, but I see him being a larger than life character. Dolph Lundgren, I agree. He is, he's got that lengthier frame to him, but he's 6'5", and so he has the height to sort of like command a presence. If you take a look at our two most recent Supermans, the current one, David Corenswet, he's 6'4". Again, that height, I think, makes up for some of the illusion that you can, if they're not doing camera tricks in post-production, I think it just gives him a presence that makes him bigger. Henry Cavill, he's only 6'1", so he's only an inch taller than Nicholas, but I think his shoulder width is wider than Nicholas. He just feels like a bigger human being naturally than Nicholas. He looks like, Nicholas looks like he put on this muscle and he did a really good job. Henry Cavill looks like he's had this muscle for a long time, and all he had to do was build upon that, right? And then you look at some of the cast members, and you've got our man-at-arms, Idris Elba, and he's 6'2". Nicholas is 6 foot. Sam C. Wilson. Now, Trapjaw can be a big character, but the actor playing Trapjaw, Sam Wilson, is 6'5". And, if you look at Conan's, right? Our two most favorite famous Conan the Barbarians are obviously Arnold Schwarzenegger. He's only 6'2", but again, his frame is so wide and big, he commands that presence. And then you've got Jason Momoa, who's 6'4", not nearly as big. A lot of times has a dad bod nowadays. But again, I think that 6'4" sort of like powerful frame really just gives him this presence. And I'm not worried about the movie. I am still very excited. To say that I'm still not underwhelmed would be a lie. Again, there's some reassuring things. I love the way he looks. I just personally want my brand of He-Man to be this sort of big, all-encompassing. He walks in a room and everybody's like, oh, shit, that's He-Man right there. Yep. Where Nicholas, again, just in the picture, that one picture, it looked like somebody at a con in some cosplay. You know what I mean? So that's my opinion on the matter.
Wow. Well, starting with Arnold Schwarzenegger was interesting because Mike brought up the sword fight, which I should have brought up, which was great. But John Milius, who directed Conan the Barbarian and Conan the Destroyer, Conan the Barbarian, he did not direct Conan the Destroyer. He made Arnold Schwarzenegger lose weight and be less cut. If you notice in that first movie, he's more a muscle mass, but he's not defined because he wanted him to be more athletic and more like a panther, And I think to some degree, if you get this big, massive guy, you're not going to be able to do that sword fighting that we saw in that video. And then Richard Fleischer took over the directing duties of Conan the Destroyer, and he wanted it to look like a comic book. And he made him go back to like Mr. Universal weight. And he was less agile because of it. So I think there is some, this sword fight, how about it, guys? It looks amazing, right? The fact that we're going to get this in a He-Man film, it's much more, what would the word be? Well, thrilling than what we saw in the first Masters of the Universe film, which I love, by the way. But I don't think it's anything that Dolph could have handled, right? His body type?
Yeah, I don't think so.
Agree. I also think that if you look at the action stars of the 80s, they weren't really actors. They just had bodies that looked like action stars.
Yeah, that's true.
And
speaking of the height, though, I had a friend. His name was Marshall, and he was a bodyguard for Sylvester Stallone at the Planet Hollywoods. Now, Sylvester Stallone would list his height as like 5'10", Shane, but in reality, he told me he's 5'8". He's 5'8", but he looked huge in all of these movies, and that's because he was cast against leading ladies that were like 5'2", or 5'3", and then usually his opponents also weren't that tall. And except when they were tall, like Hulk Hogan in Rocky III for that exhibition fight, it looked like a giant, that how is Sylvester Stallone going to defeat this guy? So I think they measure that out. Now, Trapjaw being so tall, looks like it's going to be more of a 2000X kind of Trapjaw, I think, with Sam C. Wilson being 6'5", versus Filmation, where I guess he was kind of the same size as He-Man, maybe a little shorter. So, and it must be what they're going for, and to make these little, I'm okay that if the evil warriors are taller and more menacing.
Yeah,
I think I'm okay.
Villains being larger is good.
No, yeah. I agree. And again, I think Trapjaw can be a big menacing character. Like, obviously, Beastman's probably going to be our largest character, I would hope, at least. He just feels short to me. That's it.
Maybe they'll give him some platform.
There we go.
Well, I think I mentioned in the group earlier, or even Robert Downey Jr. Like, he's not the tallest guy in the world, right? Like, with Gwyneth Paltrow is a full inch taller than he is, right? So they had to give him platform shoes in order to make them look around the same height, right? So that was actually a big consideration on that one. And throughout the years, it's been a very common thing for leading men who are not nearly as tall to be shot at different angles. You know what I mean? You can easily make anybody look a certain height just by the way you shoot it. Right?
Yeah, for sure. And again, I think that I'm still like super excited. Just looking at that picture is what I'm having a hard time sort of like getting over.
Yeah. But
we're not trying to gang up on you, Shane.
I think AJ is right though, and I think it was one of the worst taken photos. Somebody literally took that with their camera phone. Right. You know what I mean? And as I said, the bleed on light is terrible. Like
that was a great point, Jay. I didn't even think of that until you said that about the light bleed.
The bleed of light literally like reduces you another 10%, like 5 or 10%. So yeah, no, it was not flattering at all. And later on, when we saw the actual shot that he wanted to that he should have taken in the beginning, but of course, without regalia, it gives you a better idea as to what you're probably going to see. But I'm loving the fact that they're trying their best to keep this under wraps. Films today get spoiled so easily. So, in my opinion, this is definitely something that they're trying their best to hold on to. The other thing is that, like, especially when you get to comic book villains these days, they need to be larger than life. They really do.
Yeah.
It's not like a chess match between the Joker and Batman this time. You know what I mean? It's not, right? You're not going to get a Riddler type of scenario here, right? This is not the greatest detective in the world versus the greatest supervillains, masterminds in the world, right? Or the greatest psychopaths in the world. This is hulking beasts fighting hulking beasts. Like that's really what it boils down to, right? But I think they are looking for a Filmation esque cues, right? Which is what I think is why those images are on the wall. They got to get them into that mindset. Yeah. Not the goofy aspect of it, but the core elements of it. Adam having a pet tiger, like that's awesome. I think that hopefully we get to see something like that, right? We see the lineup of all the good guys versus the bad guys, and then we see some key scenes of sorceresses and wizards, right? So I'm hoping that we get to see a lot of Eternia, and I hope we get to see very little of Earth. But who knows? We'll have to take what we can get at this point. But I think that we might be in good hands, at least thematically. So we'll see what happens.
Hey, Filmation as inspiration is music to my ears. But while you were talking, Shane, I looked up Camila Mendes' height, and she's 5'2". So she looked already short, really short to him when they were on the streets of London. Yeah. So they definitely cast a short girl, because actually in Filmation, I think Tila and Adam were the same height, if I remember correctly. Pretty close to it.
Pretty close.
Yeah. The thing about Filmation though is they were going by toy heights. And they're all based on the same buck, so they're all basically going to be the same height anyway, right? So
everyone's 5'5".
So you're not, there's very little variety. Whereas today, if you look at New Eternia Beastman, he's a freaking monster, right? Yeah. Whereas for whatever reason they did another Beastman, and he's the exact same. I don't know what happened there. I'm still very confused as to the new Beastman from New Eternia. Why are there two New Eternia Beastmans? I'm still very confused on that. It just doesn't seem to correlate right now. It's like they're rewriting history all over again.
Well, one I think is based off the Lords of Power, but they didn't actually state that on the box, which is really wild. They're both just two New Eternia Beastmen, and that's the frustrating thing with Masterverse. I think we mentioned this before. There's like 8 different Skeletors that are just called Skeletors, Jay. Even, they never adopt, even like the few Skeletors in the Revelation line, they never say, or even Revolution, they don't say Skeletech. It just says Skeletor. They don't say Horde Skeletor. It just says Skeletor. And it's like, gosh, give it some extra names. And with New Eternia and Beastman, it should have been, Lords of Power, New Eternia Beastman. But no, they don't. I don't know. They confused the heck out of me too. That's a question for Roy over at Mattel.
I know. No, but you know what? That's not Roy's decision either. What the lore on the box is not. That's a typeset. That's something you just put on the box and make sure it looks good. That is not any. And you know what? You can't complain to Roy. He just won a freaking design award. Congratulations
for Masterverse.
Oh yes, for Masterverse. Congratulations.
I wasn't saying yes. It is congratulations. I wasn't saying he's calling the shots. I just figured he might know the answer.
Okay, maybe, but honestly, being a designer myself, when you're under the gun, you just put whatever the heck they give you. You don't really read it. So I'll just giving you an inside baseball here. It's probably just okay, bang bang bang. Just typeset it, make sure the letting's good, the kerning's all right, and you're good to go. Like seriously,
I tell you, in the promotional though, they'll call him Horde Skeletor. In the promotions, they'll call him Viking He-Man. And,
of course.
I don't know.
It's a copyright thing, I think. Honestly, I think it is some sort of copyright thing.
Maybe. Yeah.
All right, topic 2. Usually with every big budget summer movie, there are tons of licensed tie-ins and merchandise, from clothing to video games, movie prop replicas to statues, novelizations to limited time fast food dishes. The sky is the limit when it comes to cross-sell Hollywood's latest blockbuster movie in the hope to mutually benefit and contribute to a film's success. Now, if Mattel's previous big budget movie, Barbie, was any indication, the new Masters of the Universe movie will be no different in regards to offering a smorgasbord of He-Man and Skeletor licensed products and promotional tie-ins. So, as the Master of the Universe fans that we are, what kind of Eternia-related promotional goodness do you hope to see come next year from this big budget Masters of the Universe movie? And we are going to start with Mr. Eternian royalty himself, Mike.
Ooh, okay. This was the topic I really wanted to talk about when you sent out those topics, AJ. Let's see. I want... Is it going to be like a Christmas list right now? I want a new video game. I want... I'll start there. Video game. 100%. I would love a Masters Universe, just proper video game. The video games of Masters Universe, all the way back from Atari. There's been some really cool mods that people have done to make some Masters Universe games, but a proper publicly released Masters Universe game that has been really well done has not exist. Now the question is will the new one be really well done? So that's kind of where that's iffy. They did with the 2000X. They released a Masters Universe game. It was very repetitive, very difficult. If you died, you had to start all over at the very beginning of the level. It got to the point where, I didn't get very far in it and gave up on it. Next, I would say I want a fast food tie-in for sure. I don't want McDonald's. And this is going to sound weird, but I want Burger King. Only because they had the Burger King tie-in back, and actually I can show off for those of you watching on YouTube. They had the Burger King cups with the little comics going on there. And they had the, almost like the Happy Meal boxes with trivia and all sorts of stuff. I know they've kind of shied away from the boxes now with the kids meal, but I would love to see something like that done in promotion with the movie. If they do little minifigs, I know Masters Universe, they did do McDonald's in 2002. I think they even did it in the 80s for a little bit. But I know in 2002 for sure, because I have all the little 2002 minifigs that came. That would be cool to see also. Definitely would love to see, any sort of promotional, posters. You name it. Statues. Sure. Give me statues. Give me a limited edition. You got to go to, GameStop or something to get these limited edition statues, little mini statues of all the characters. Anything to just make it fun and exciting. I know that Mattel Films knows that, they have Mattel Creations, which is very collector heavy, right? So this movie is going to be very collector heavy with everything that comes out. It's going to be limited edition this, only enough time to get maybe one of 500 sort of thing going on there is what I'm seeing happening, because it's going to be pushed for the collectors. But at the same time, there will be your Burger Kings, your mainstream stuff. But I could see a lot of specialty items coming out that are very collector. I don't know if I'd say friendly, but collector driven. Those are pretty much going to be my two big ones. Obviously toys. Toys is going to be the huge one. Will we see a Nicholas Gasoline He-Man on there?
Nice, Jay. See what you started, Jay.
Look what you got me doing. You know, it really depends on what these characters look like. From everyone's guess, it's going to be Masterverse size and Masterverse tie-in, which is kind of a bummer for me as a vintage and origins collector, 5.5. But, you know, it makes more sense for a movie. You'll get more likeness out of Masterverse. I would say those would be the biggest ones there. Let's pass it. You know what? I'm going to go right back to you, Shane. Let's hear it.
All right. Well, I'm going to guess that we are all going to have some similar items on our list. But one of the first things on my list is like proper cereal. With Masterverse, they did some promotional things at FYE. They had a Skelegod cereal and a He-Man cereal, which was really cool. I ate a box and I kept one with the cereal in it and it had a little, you know, micro figure in there. It was cool. But like, I'm talking about like going to the grocery store and having a cereal on display there you go.
I totally forgot about those. That is a great tie-in.
Yeah, I agreed. And again, anything that I loved growing up as a child had a cereal tie-in. So I would really love to have that. I wasn't specifically going to say McDonald's or Burger King, and you sort of showed one already, collector's cups, whether it's those like old McDonald's like frosted glass mugs, or, you know, they did the Flintstone tie-in with the glass cups like that. And even the glass ones that had the print on them with the, you know, colorful characters. Loved those. Action figures, of course, like I think everybody is going to hope for that. Video game also on my list. It would be really awesome to get like an in-depth third-person action RPG where you don't even have to play as He-Man. You can pick another hero to play as if you want to. I think that would be really, really cool. And then my last two, as somebody who wears trucker hats every day, I would selfishly like to get a trucker hat that is tied into the movie.
So just on that, Nicholas has, and a couple of the cast have been sporting these Havoc staff sword hats, which I was like, all right, I need one of those. Like that's crazy. So
I just want him to slap that like from a dad hat onto a trucker hat is all I'm asking for. I'm not going to get it, but that's fine. And then the last one is a little tongue-in-cheek here and is coming from our conversation so far today, but an Exxon Mobil tie-in with Nicholas Gasoline.
I love it. That's awesome. That's so good.
And you fill up your tank, and on the little TV,
you know what?
Pops up.
If that starts going around, I'm claiming that one. That one's
100%. Yes, you should. 100%.
What did you do, Jay?
You're gonna have Nicholas Gasoline collector cards exclusively at Exxon.
I'm just gonna keep saying it. I'm always gonna apologize every single time, but it's just so funny, man. Nicholas Gasoline, he's just so he's on fire, man. He's on fire.
And that is my list. I'm going to pass it to MJR.
Oh my gosh. You know what? I wanted to go last, but it's okay. Honestly, you know what? And this only comes out because I was watching I don't even remember the dude's name, but I was watching this guy's collection of vintage Master Universe walkthrough. His name wasn't Mike, unfortunately, but I mean, like I was watching I was like, God, there's some crazy things that came out back in the day. So I don't know if you guys remember, but actually it was okay. So it's not that long ago. It was like 3 years ago, I think, when it was actually closer to 4 years ago when the 40th anniversary started to come around and Mattel was actually doing Origins. I got in line at the San Diego Comic-Con booth at Mattel Creations. And it wasn't back then. I don't even think they were doing Creations. It was just still Mattel, just the booth. And I was trying to get in line for the He-Man Adam 2-pack that was on sale, which is just unobtainable right now. It's freaking ridiculous. But I never got there in time. They always sold out. But what they did always have is they had the She-Ra tiara made of foam, and they had the He-Man masks for Halloween. And I was like, you know what? That is freaking cool. I remember as a kid wearing that. And I watched Ted the other day, and they were throwing eggs at this kid who had like the Hulk smash on his thing, and the NECA little NECA figures with a Halloween trick or treaters. I think we need some fun stuff like that. Like that, I think is just like the really goofy fun stuff. I want a freaking He-Man toothpaste holder. You know what I mean? Like I know Mike has one of those for sure. I mean, like seriously, I definitely need one of those. You know what I mean? Some He-Man flip flops, or actually some Beastman flip flops. You know, with the little toes. You ever see that the Beastman toes? we need some Beastman flip flops. Okay, like the ones you wear around the house. You know, all the really cool, goofy stuff, right? Like that's what you want. T-shirts, of course. You know, we haven't talked about T-shirts just yet, but I want the big pecs. You know what I mean? Just like and the freaking He-Man straps. You know what I mean? Like that kind of cool stuff. Stuff that doesn't necessarily need to be licensed with like a star. You know what I mean? Like it's just that goofy stuff, right? I want a foam sword. I want to because I actually got the Princesses of Power foam sword that was being handed out at San Diego Comic-Con a couple of years ago. I like these little tchotchkes, you know what I mean? Just the fun stuff that, you know, you can just give away at conventions and things like that, right? And they're going to come. We know that they're going to come. They're going to be handed out at, I want my popcorn bowl. I want my freaking, like, you know, I want my Skeletor droid, you know, the Skeletor floating droid popcorn bowl. You know what I mean? Like just have it a full Skeletor droid, like you know, thing, a whole bowl made with it, and maybe the eyes they slide over, and you just reach in for popcorn. You know what I mean? So those are fun, cool little things which will be around a lot of the movie theaters. You know, a lot of the movie theater tie-ins are going to be centered around that. Plushies. I want a Battle Cat plushie so badly. How come there hasn't been a Battle Cat plushie yet? Where is my Battle Cat? I want a Cringer plushie. I want a Cringer plushie. Screw these Labubus. Labubus, screw them, okay? Screw Labubu. All right. I want an Orca plushie, just like they're offering for Fall of Grayskull 2. So, you know what, Daniel, you got to start pitching that to Mattel. All right. I want. There's one. There we go. See, we got some. There we go. There it is. Right. Exactly. Right. But where's Cringer? Where is the Cringer plushie? There, bring him out. Come on. Where is he? We need a Cringer plushie.
I don't have Cringer, but I have Orko in the bag.
Oh, see?
Yeah.
This is what I'm talking about. See, the Sorceress, all you got them all.
Man.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
See? That's what I'm talking about. You know that's coming. You know that's coming, right? So there's all that. Of course, video games. The best and the worst video game I've played so far is this awesome beat 'em up that a couple of guys did in their basement. It's all it's all CG animation. It's all animation cell driven, and it's the worst game ever because the collision is terrible. Everything about it, like the enemies are just too way overpowered. But just seeing Filmation style characters walking around and beating each other up, it's the freaking greatest thing ever. It's basically free on your phone to download. Yeah. So if and it works on all Android devices. So basically, if you got Amazon like Flash devices, you can play it, right? I'm pretty sure Mike knows what I'm talking about. If anybody doesn't know, just look it up. It's awesome.
Downloaded on the laptop right here.
Yeah, it is so awesome, but it's the worst. That freaking fist pounder, I was like, you son of a, like, seriously, every time it comes and like smacks you, I'm like, you gotta be freaking kidding me. So we should all, at the Eternia FOUR, we should play that freaking beat 'em up game and try to make it to the end. Let's see how far we get, because honestly, that would be a great streaming night for charity. All right, so there's another bucket list for all of us, right? And I think the other thing that would be absolutely necessary for a He-Man tie-in is proper replica swords, like the one hanging behind Mike. I mean, like seriously, and Shane, both of you guys, right? We need some like the one thing I always have regretted is that they never made an official 87 Masters of the Universe sword. You know what I mean? Like Dolph Lundgren size sword. That to me is iconic in terms of Master Universe lore, and I know a few people have done customs. Right, I have a custom sort of a Thundera that I have from a swordsmith, and he did a Master Universe sword, and I've always regretted. But you know, I just don't want to drop another $4,000 just for a sword anymore, right? I just need something which is a couple $100 and actually looks the part, right? The one that Pixel Dan has is just way too big. It's comically oversized for the license. You know what I mean? Like Factory Entertainment, bless their hearts, but honestly, those things are they're toy accurate, but dang, sometimes toy accurate can get a little bit more human size. This thing is like Andre the Giant size. This thing should be wielded by Andre the Giant. So that to me is because we're adult collectors. That is definitely the adult collector market needs to be taken care of. So you know, Havoc staffs, all this kind of thing. I would love to see all that stuff. But that pretty much rounds it out. And, you know, I like the goofy stuff. I like the goofy stuff that is literally just kind of you're going to throw them away eventually, you know, because they take up way too much room. And they're just made of foam. And whatever.
Popcorn bucket, Jay, you mentioned was perfect. Dude. That's such a thing right now. Yeah. Like I can picture. I see like Orko, and then you take his hat and you lift his hat open and like, get it from.
They got the Deadpool baby as a freaking popcorn bowl. That is so disturbing and so awesome at the same time. It's like, what are you thinking? But seriously, popcorn bowls. Come on, Mattel. Let's make it happen. AMC wants a popcorn bowl. Come on, AJ.
Thank you, sir. Guys, I'm going to need a GoFundMe page after everything you mentioned, with Shane the cereal and Mike the figures. Jay, the plushies, you know, the popcorn containers. And you guys could be all off mute. You can talk with me. The popcorn containers are actually perfect, right? That's right up my alley, those things. Actually, I'm a big fan of the Red Hulk. And so immediately, you know, I saw like one of these buckets and I was like, and it's embossed. And, you know, even though the movie was just okay, I was like, oh, this is awesome. You know, that's a popcorn bucket. But then the problem was, oh, wait. This bucket looks cool too. Look at that bucket.
This is what I'm talking about. Those are
and he told me that. I'm like, wow, that looks cool too. And then I go, oh no, wait a minute. That popcorn bucket looks cool too. Yes, it's an actual popcorn bucket.
Is it a sipper?
No, it's oh my god, that's crazy.
Popcorn inside.
That is hilarious.
So, yeah, I love the popcorn buckets. Like for garbage, I don't know if you guys like the movie Glass, but it was like Unbreakable. It was Split, and in Glass, the M. Night series and stuff like that. So, yeah, popcorn buckets are up my alley. Oh, look what's inside here. I love the movie stuff. This is Star-Lord 3D glasses inside. So,
oh wow, that's neat.
Yeah.
Nice.
Wow, that is very cool.
Yeah, and it actually works as 3D glasses. So you can actually bring them into a 3D movie and just use your own. So yeah, I love the movie memorabilia. I guess I would pick that. You know, I also love cups. Somebody mentioned cups. I'm all over cups. Yeah. If you guys look at my cupboard, it's embarrassing. You know, and I have some cups down here. You know, I drink, you know, obviously out of the Revolution mug. If you want, you could drink out of, I don't know, a Civil War mug from Captain America. Or if you want to drink out of a Captain America cup, you got Captain America First Avenger. I don't know, how many years ago was that? Oh, you like the Philadelphia Eagles? They won the Super Bowl, you know? Or, hey, you're in an angry mood, you could do the Hulk. Hey, you're in a happier mood, you could do Guardians of the Galaxy. These are in my cupboard, man. Black Panther. So over and over again, you know, Avengers. I mean, I just love cups. So, yeah, bring on the cups, man. You know, you guys can keep bringing on everything. I don't have the money for all this. This is going to be really hard because you know they're going to market this to the hilt. And this stuff is like crack. And it's going to be hard to say no. So I'm going to pick out just maybe a couple of favorites real quick. I mean, I love the video game idea. But so far, what we know is they Mattel trademarked a game called Guardians of Grayskull. And it's for mobile. And you know, while mobile games can be fun, I'm not interested in a mobile game, you know? Of course, I would love a big, like, God of War game that was like Masters of the Universe. It'd be a dream to have like an MMORPG, as they call them. But you know what? I don't know if I have the time to dedicate that. So maybe I would love a fighting game, a Mortal Kombat fighting game where you get to pick the heroic warriors against the, you know, the heroic, the evil warriors. That would be fun. But what I really want, if I have to narrow it down, other than cups, is two things. Expanded EU, right? Comic books, that's one. I want the story to be expanded in comic books. These are what, Revolution Comics? Yeah. That would be my first wish, because I love when they expand upon the story. And I don't like the frivolous stories, but I like stories like the Masters of the Universe Revolution and Revelation tie-in comics that actually enhance the story, that explain the stuff that comes from the creators' minds, but really didn't fit into the movie. So I would love that. I know a television cartoon was teased at Comic-Con last year, and I'm not sure where they're going with that. Maybe they're doing something over on Amazon. If there's something tied in with this movie, I would love that very much. But if I had to pick one thing to tie into this movie, merchandise, one that would break me in every possible way, in a good way, but also in a bad way financially, it's been a dream of mine that hasn't come yet. And don't talk to me about the homebrew stuff. I want something real. I want a Masters of the Universe pinball game. It is built for pinball. If you guys love pinball, especially pinball now, pinball is just an out of this world experience. They use voices from the movies. They use film clips in the movies, and they have like animatronic props on the table, and you can go through missions and you hear voice clips from the movies and stuff like that, and it's just such a fantastic immersive experience, and the art is brilliant. And what art is better than Masters of the Universe art? And I know these things now are selling at for homes anywhere between $8,000 and like $10,000-$12,000, but there's a huge home market for it. We're getting new games like for the 80s movie The Labyrinth. They made a new pinball machine for The Godfather. They made a new pinball machine that's amazing. Pulp Fiction, another one, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. There's this huge market for home pinball machines that are actual full working machines by Stern and other companies like that. They just announced a Predator one that they're going to reveal tomorrow. And it would be my dream to have a Masters of the Universe themed pinball machine. And been waiting over 40 years for that. And finally, hopefully with this movie, they might have a reason to do it. And if I love the movie, I'll just love seeing the clips and the levels and the voices. And I don't know. Make it happen, Mattel. That would be my ultimate number one. I'd find a way to buy it. Sell something. One of my kidneys.
Just put that on a payment plan.
$5 a month.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't know about you guys. You guys play pinball at all?
I actually just played the Guardians of the Galaxy pinball machine. This place called Round One. It's very similar to like a Dave and Buster's.
Mm-hmm.
And man, yeah, you get like the little game card, and I was there for a while, and it was like such a fun. It's very true what you were saying. It's basically almost like a video game. You're watching this big video board on the back, and there's missions now and all kinds of crazy stuff.
And you get to select your missions. And I think with that Guardians of the Galaxy one, you get to select your character as well. Yeah. So as you're playing. So it's so cool. I know.
We have a place here in Denver called One Up Arcade.
Mm-hmm.
And it's sort of like adults. It's all old games. There's a few newer games, but there's like tons of pinball. It's a lot of old 80s and 90s arcade machines and things like that. You get alcohol and food, like whatever you want. And they all run on tokens and coins and stuff, but they have a ton of really great new and old pinball machines, and I'll go there and play it all the time. And it was really exciting because they just opened one up by my house, and they had a claw machine, and in the claw machine were only Motu Revelation plushies. That's it. And I spent probably $20 trying to get one, and I did not.
Oh,
that sucks. I knew you were coming, Shane.
Yeah, it's better just to order them. Go ahead.
Yeah, I haven't played pinball in forever. Like virtual pinball doesn't count, you know what I mean? But but yeah, no, I mean like everyone has affinity towards like some sort of pinball machine. Like you know, back in the day, I think there was like so many different styles, like Buck Rogers, and you know, I'm pretty sure there was the V. Like television shows were massive for pinball. Like they'd always have some really cool. And I think that those ones I always gravitated towards. I think the artwork was really what got me in old school pinball machines. They're just so classic, like really murals actually. And I think that's really what fascinates me with pinballs. All the flashing lights and the skill involved is just killer. Like I am terrible at pinball, so not my number one. But if there was a Master Universe pinball machine that really like, especially with all the graphics, like Shane just said, because and Mike, they literally there's actually an arcade game in there, right? Yeah. Sometimes you get the ball into the arcade section and you have to play an arcade game, so it's kind of crazy. So yeah, I'd love to see it. 100%.
Fingers crossed. All right, topic number 3. For over 40 years, the most powerful man in the universe, known as He-Man, has been made into an action figure numerous times across many different toy companies, toy lines, and various styles. From vintage to Origins, classics to Masterverse, Mondo to Shogun Warrior, donning flying fists, battle armor, or transformed into a horde zombie, the amount of He-Men realized in plastic has been tremendous, and many fans have owned many incarnations of this iconic blonde muscled warrior. So today may be a challenge when we ask everyone to pick your favorite He-Man figure. One He-Man figure to rule them all. Pick your top figure that, if you had to get rid of your entire collection of various He-Man figures and only keep one, which He-Man figure would you keep and why? And I'm going to start it off with Jay.
Oh boy. So, I mean, it's crazy, right? Like, there have been so many He-Mans over the years. And it's crazy because what's really crazy is that you tend to change your favorite He-Mans all the time. I mean, like, there's always going to be the newest gimmick sometimes was your favorite He-Man, whether it was Power Punch He-Man because of the caps, Flying Fist He-Man, which is one of my absolute favorites. I still have him, right? With the bolos and the I still have the red clip, which everyone loses. I think that thing's more valuable than the He-Man, that little red freaking clip. That thing's actually, I think that's actually really, really valuable. And then of course you have like the movie He-Mans, who we never thought at one point would ever get, right? So the Super 7 Rebel Leader He-Man. That I remember when that first came out, I had to have that. And Despot Skeletor and that entire line, like it was absolute magic. Because even in classics, they never actually did a true He-Man release for the Master Universe movie. They had Gwildor, but it was an homage to the toy Gwildor. They had Blade, but again, it was an homage to the toy Blade. They had Sarad, which was an homage to that as well. So I remember at that point, I really wanted that He-Man, and as good as he was not Dolph Lundgren. They couldn't get the rights. You know what I mean? They had to they had to release it under the Stout Collection because they could not secure the rights to any of the likenesses. So they literally based it off of all the sketches that Stout had actually created for the film. Right? It was crazy. And of course, Mobius was also involved in that too. So there was a lot of great things along there, right? And then of course there's just iteration after iteration after iteration. I mean, He-Man, just like Batman and just like Superman, there have just been so many over the years, right? Revelation at one point was just this is the return to form. This is He-Man, right? Origins again, right? And we're reliving the 80s again with Master Universe, and I remember being able to go into the aisleways and finally finding He-Man on the shelf. I thought that would never happen again, and it did. And it really is just this 100% incredible thing. But when it really boils down to it, when it really all comes down to the final decision of what He-Man would I choose? I mean, and this is sad. This is actually a kind of a sad story. but it would have to be without a doubt. It would have to be the combo of vintage He-Man and Battle Cat, the one that started it all. This is not my original. I had to pick this one up off of eBay, and the reason that is because my He-Man exploded. I mean, like I'm a stupid kid. Everybody's a stupid kid. I took off his head. I took off his arms. I took off his shoulders. I'm surprised. No, actually, it did. The whole thing exploded. Like his dumbbell peg was in 3 pieces. I mean, like everything. They deteriorate, guys. They deteriorate. This one actually is from Montreal. I got a really good deal on him. I think it was like I showed it on the channel years ago. And I mean, everything's good. Like, the paint is great on him. You know what I mean? Like, look at those straps, right? He's still got most of his hair. I mean, like, you know, you can still see some paint rub there and everything. But, and you know, obviously his toes are completely there. But honestly, nobody wrote on him. It doesn't say, you know, Jimmy on the bottom. It doesn't say, you know, Andy. It doesn't say any of those things. And yeah, this guy's freaking awesome. My Battle Cat is also this is not my original Battle Cat either. I found this guy at a toy show, and I have the pieces of Battle Cat. I don't have the pieces of He-Man, but I have Battle Cat. He's literally in like the whole, like he's sheared down the middle, and the pieces of literally. Anyway, I was an idiot, all right, as a kid. But why this one, right? What is it that why does this one mean to me so much? The reality is that try as I might. And as good as, and I absolutely adore Battle Damage He-Man, the original vintage version of Battle Damage He-Man. I absolutely do. That came really close to being my number one. Honestly, it was really, really close. But when it really boils down to it, the one thing I think of when I think of He-Man is this. This is He-Man. This is He-Man, right? Muscles upon muscles. I don't even think it's anatomically correct anymore. Like, seriously, this is a cartoon in action figure form, and I love it, right? Even Filmation He-Man, which I absolutely adore, which is my absolute number one love of He-Man of all time. If they made a version of Filmation He-Man, which now they have, the cartoon collection, which is great, it still doesn't beat this guy. This and right back at you, Mattel. Figure out what to do with his face. Come on, how hard is it to do this face? I mean, Jesus, we have scanning technology. I'll donate this one to you, and you have to give it back. But seriously, I want this face. The 40th, the 80th, the 80th Mattel edition that they're going to release for the 40th anniversary. Sorry, it's the Mattel 80th actually. Mm-hmm. It is soft as F. All right, it is so soft. What happened? Why can't you get this right? Seriously, it's not that hard. Come on, guys. Something is going on in Mattel. I don't know. They can't get it right. They just can't. And that's the ultimate reason why this guy was always going to be my number one, because this is He-Man. Like,
I love your point about Mattel getting that face right, because it drives me crazy.
They can't get it right. They just can't.
I don't understand. The 80th Mattel anniversary one, yeah, like they can't get the cheekbones right. It's like, what is come on, how hard is that? Like you said, there's scanning technology. All they have to do is scan the original and copy it.
It's one of life's mysteries.
Rest his soul. Mark Taylor is okay with it. All right, seriously, he's okay with it. Just remake the damn thing, please.
Well, I had this guy for consideration. This is a
Battle Beasts.
Battle Beast He-Man.
Battle Beasts. That's a custom.
He's not my favorite, sadly.
Is that a runner-up?
He's a runner-up.
Wait. Bring it back. Is he water? Is he fire? Or is he what is it?
That is a good question.
Yeah, what is he? Rub him.
I don't know if that's an actual.
Oh wait, hold on. I saw something.
I think it's just painted black.
Yeah, the easiest way to do it is to grab your phone, right, and turn the flashlight on, and then just hold it there for like even 2 seconds. It'll heat up. I'm okay. Let's all guess, since they're
it's just reflective. It's
damn it! I was gonna.
Yeah,
he's got to be fire.
Yeah. What would you like him to be?
He's fire, man. He's freaking fire. Come on.
So, to kind of piggyback on you, Jay, I was a big fan of Super 7's Ultimate He-Man. Outside of what my true favorite is, which, of course, is the same as you, the vintage classic He-Man. There's just something about this guy that, it's iconic. Ultimately, it's the reason he was successful and brought Mattel billions and billions of dollars. That figure right there, it's the one that did it, and it's just so hard to beat. But I'm with you, Jay. Actually, it's funny. I'll bring this guy out too. This is a very close second. Is the battle armor. I have mine. He wields the axe instead of the sword, of course, and he rides my Battle Cat in my display. I love both iterations, but of course, the one that started it all definitely kind of inches it out just a little bit more so than the others. But I do have appreciation, when I saw in 2020 in Origins, even though it looked like Spicoli, seeing a He-Man on a shelf just took me right back to that kid. I had this tingling sensation of like, oh my God, there's a He-Man on a shelf right now. And, for that reason, I do, even as unpopular as the head sculpt was, some about it, I enjoy that one too. That's what got me back into all of this with Origins. So those I would say are my favorites, but this is definitely the top of the top. AJ, we'll go to you.
All right. Well, first I want to say that the vintage He-Man is amazing, but it's my number 2. So I'm actually going to break away from you two. While it's definitely a favorite and it's a close to a number 1, it is not my number 1. But first I want to do something crazy, man. I want to do something crazy. This is not my number 1, but I want to give a nod to a figure that most people hate. But Shane might appreciate this figure. This is the Masterverse Masters of the Universe Revelation He-Man figure. For some reason, I am against the popular opinion that this is a bad figure. I love this figure. I think it's a good rendition of the animation model. So much so that I prefer this wearing the battle armor compared to the one they actually... Oh, he lost his head. Look at that. Well, he lost his head. Well, I actually have the old Revelation figure carrying his battle armor because he looks more like the cartoon than the Masterverse, Masters of the Universe Revolution. So, but for some reason, I just love this figure. And I know it's an unpopular opinion. I know so many hate this figure. There are some others like me that like to ride on the wild side and like this figure. Shane, do you like this figure at all? This is your show.
I am very fond of that figure, yes.
Yes. Okay. So we got 2 here. So I never understood all of the hate. A lot of people didn't like...
It's the head sculpt. That's the only thing that gets me. It's the head sculpt.
See, but I actually believe this head sculpt matches the animation model a lot better than the Revolution battle armor He-Man.
I think you're... Oh, yeah.
I had a custom head done for mine that I feel...
Hordak MX, man.
Yes, Hordak MX.
Hordak MX, baby.
I really love the figure, but the head's... Yeah. I don't know. It's something with the face on it.
For me, the figure's not bad. The chest is always going to be a bit of a thing for me. I think that SDCC and of course 40th anniversary Masterverse He-Man is always going to be my for that kind of idea, right? I think that and there goes another one, and I think that the chest is just something else, you know what I mean? So
yeah,
that's always going to be a thing for me. But other than that, I really don't have a problem with Masterverse He-Man. I thought he was okay when he came out.
Okay.
But then again, you know what? You're talking to a guy who's going to buy anything Master Universe. I mean, so it's kind of par for the course. I mean, like, You know, I really can't say I hate any He-Man. Like I can
Well,
always say that certain head sculpts look like. Again, I just said it too soft, right? But I mean, like that's about as far as I'm going to take it. I'm still buying
Yeah.
the damn thing.
The question is, though, if you're getting rid of your collection, what's the one He-Man?
Yes.
Well, that's exactly
Okay.
why. That's exactly we're already there.
Okay, that's where we are. So above my vintage figure, there is one figure to rule them all. And it's inspired by my number one He-Man, the He-Man from the Filmation show, 1983, He-Man and Masters of the Universe. This is the Mattel version, not the Super 7 version of Classics 2.0 Club Grayskull He-Man. I love this figure. I think this figure is wonderful in regards to his face sculpt, in regards to capturing the animation model, so much more than the Ultimate He-Man. Even though I love the Ultimate He-Man from Super 7, first, I had a few issues with him. His head was not painted, but it was just formed in flesh-colored plastic and had this translucent feel. Yeah. Actually, that's the head that I don't particularly care for. And the hair looked like it was separated from the head, where this one looks like the hair is attached to He-Man's head. On Jay's, it looks like it's just resting above, like it's a wig that you can pop right off. So, not to fight He-Man's there, Jay. So, while I do have the
I agree with you, AJ. And like beggars can't be choosers. I'm famous for saying that I totally missed the boat on classics. I was knee deep into my career at the time, and just out of college, just trying to find a job, right? So it wasn't the number one thing on my mind. So I totally wish that I had a Mattel, a Matty Collector. I totally wish I had a Matty Collector He-Man. But when I got a second chance to get the Club Grayskull He-Man, I jumped on it. There was no arguing. So I'm 100%.
Now, the one thing that the Super 7 has over the Mattel is the Mattel version does have these ugly yet ankle rockers. Yeah. So they're wonderful for posing, these dynamic poses, but boy, do they look ugly. And yours looks nice, Jay. But other than that, this figure is gorgeous. This figure also, you can actually rotate. Unlike the Super 7, you can rotate the sheath to either side. I believe on the Super 7, the sheath is on the wrong side. Yep. And it needed to be switched to the alternate. But I still love the Super 7. I actually have him posed on my shelf with his faker head. But this is my number one. So if I'm going to a remote tropical island and I'm taking one figure to lie on the beach with me and eat clams all day, it's going to be this figure. I love him.
That's a great choice. He's a great figure.
No, he is. And you know, maybe if I owned, I don't know. You know what? At that point, maybe if I owned the Matty Collector one, who knows? But the reality is, you know. Vintage is hard to beat. Just like you said, you got number 2 on vintage.
Yeah,
it's hard to beat. It really is.
It really is. I'm just so madly in love with Filmation. I think that's why. And I, as a kid, I always wanted my vintage figure to look like their Filmation counterparts. I always thought, and it's sacrilege to some, that some of the animation models actually look better than the figures. So, and He-Man was one of them. He looked fantastic to me. Even though I love the vintage figure, I adore it. I adore that angry look. I adore the big body. But something about that Filmation He-Man is just perfection to me. So we spend all day together. We go to work together. We do a lot of fun things together. All right, Shane, let's bounce it to you.
All right. I will go pretty quick here. So my favorite figure has the worst head sculpt. Looks like he has jaundice, but is the figure that came full circle for me, and that is, of course, the Revelation He-Man. Again, this is just more like on a personal level. It was the moment that was like, pinch me. This is like absolutely not real. That everything had sort of like turned on its head, and I was like, oh my God, there's a toy that's part of a show that I was a part of. It's crazy. So. As yellow as he looks and as terrible as that head sculpt is, I do love that figure.
I think you're being too hard on him. Here he is.
There's worse head sculpts out there.
This one was I was going to use 2 just because battle armor is my favorite. If I would have gone vintage, battle armor is my favorite.
There's something about that head that just does.
I agree. It's the chin. It's like
it's the chin. It's a Jay Leno chin.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Mattel, what the F? Get this right. Back in the day, they were all the same damn heads. Like they were every single time.
But look at this one with the battle armor. This doesn't look good to you guys?
I mean, it looks good to me.
I'm not saying no.
Good.
Like I said, I actually don't have a problem with his head.
Is it Flying Fist? There's one that literally looks like a
Flying Fist.
Susan.
Like Flying Fist.
So bad.
Terrible Flying Fist.
That's when they used the Masterverse new Eternia Faker head
Yes.
sculpts, which look great as Faker with white eyes.
Yes.
And because everyone raved about Faker, they decided to use it for the next 4 or 5 He-Man figures.
The decisions sometimes that are made are weird. No,
Mm.
just you know what? Grab some of the Mondo sculptors and get them over to the like hire like make them scabs, like put them on the line and just like get them to work. Like come on, like seriously, like what they're doing with 2000X is insane. I am really excited for Mondo 2000X.
Me too.
Wow, I'm not excited about the price tag.
Wow. You know what? I'll eat it at this point. Like I just need to finish that, right? But I mean nobody look. I'm getting all the Ghostbusters. I'm getting it's this freaking sickness that unfortunately just doesn't break it.
Well, you know what's really interesting is I thought it might have been Toy Habits came out with the rumor that possibly Mattel might do a cartoon collection. I think 2000X Origins figures.
There's they've reported that I don't know if it was a leaked list, but apparently there are going to be some announcements made. I think Mike, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that there's going to be some sort of announcements made at SDCC this
Comic-Con, correct?
Yeah, talking about 2000X and how it's going to be
the focus of 2026 was going to be 2000X.
But I think it's going to be cartoon collection. And that would still work because Mondo's not doing cartoon collection. They're doing their own. They're doing their own thing. Like
as gorgeous as that figure looks, it doesn't look like the cartoon.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
So I think there's room.
Yeah, if they come out with the cartoon collection 2000X, I think that's the line I can afford, and that's the one I'd be buying because I actually want it to look like the cartoon, even though I love the mature look of it. I mean, the reason why I love this Filmation figure is because it looks like the cartoon.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I think that Mondo's going for the toyetic, like 4 Horsemen, like hard design. Really. Like etched stanchions. You know what I mean? I think that's what they're hoping. They're hoping to bring the stanchions into Mondo style. I think that's crazy. That's nuts. But obviously not nearly as lean, because these are some thick ass boys now. Like at this point, so it's they're trying to really satisfy everybody. You know what I mean? Like the look, but the physique of so it's gonna be very interesting how they're gonna play this out. But I think the Mattel version is going to be cartoon collection. At least it would make sense. That way those two lines can exist.
Yeah, I'll be all over the cartoon collection if it looks good. They always seem to struggle even with cartoon collection He-Man.
If they make the Starship Eternia, I think I'm gonna fall over, man.
I'm gonna go bankrupt.
I don't know if they're gonna they sort of abandoned New Eternia though. You know what I mean? Like New Adventures. You know what I mean? So it's kind of weird. Right?
I think the sales wasn't there. That's what I would suspect. So
it's too bad. It was an okay series. So
that New Adventures He-Man is worth a lot though now for Masterverse.
For Masterverse?
Yeah, it's hard to find. Yeah, it's a lot of money.
I gotta beat a box, but it's not that bad. So
it's worth something.
You know what though? Like Spydor is Web Store. Web Store is just
insane. It's like $200.
You know what?
For which line?
Masterverse.
No shit.
Yeah. Not New Eternia, the original release. It's ridiculous.
No, it's New Eternia.
Oh, is it New Eternia? Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. It was the first web store that came out. They actually didn't come out with a Revelation.
That's true, actually. They didn't.
Which I bought and opened thinking like, no big deal.
Even loose, he's worth a pretty penny.
I got one loose behind me, but I have 2 in a box because I'm a huge web store fan. So
there you go.
Yeah, somewhere up top here, I have 2 in a box, and sealed, unopened, and I'm
There's
like,
your first
wow.
payment towards that pinball machine.
Yeah, there you go.
Kids
Well, I also
college-
have Prince Adam sealed, and he goes for a lot of money too. Revelation Prince
Really?
Adam.
I didn't
Yeah,
think you really.
yeah. Check him on
impressed.
eBay. Yeah, he's.
I'm impressed. You know, I love my Adams, and that one is for me, anyways. That one has to be the most unique Atom out of all the Atoms that have ever been released. So yeah, I can see why. Like seriously, he's a good figure.
Yeah,
he's a really good figure. I should have bought more. Damn it. Anyway,
yeah.
Topic 4. Finally, we end the show with another installment of our show and tell segment. Today, we asked the group to pick one item in their collection that is Masters related or not. Quickly show it, tell us what it is and why you love it. And after last show and tell, I think I'm most excited to see Shane's.
Yes.
Well, this time I did go with a Motu show and tell.
Okay.
It is a 1989 New
Oh,
Adventures sword.
that is so
It does
cool.
not light up anymore. It is not my original one. To Jay's point, it does say Jeff on it. But I have had this one for about 25 or 30
Oh,
years.
I love it. I love it. That's awesome.
While it's not original, I've had it for a long time, and it's just stuck with me, and I love it very much, even though I was never a big New Eternia fan.
Or New Ventures.
Sorry, yes, New Adventures. We're
Yeah.
talking about Masterverse. Yep. And I'm going to pass it to AJ.
All right. Well, I took inspiration from Shane because Shane was so cool with his. Did I do that? What's his name?
Steve Urkel.
Steve Urkel, right, on Family Matters, that I decided to go non-Motu and I decided to pick something that you guys can tease me. This is
That's not the assignment.
well, this is new in a box, unopened, still sealed from 1993. I was a big fan of him when I was younger. His name is Arnold Schwarzenegger, and it's the last action hero talking Jack Slater.
Oh my God, that's crazy.
Big
Holy
mistake.
crap.
He said a lot of different lines like heads up and
That's
piece
classic.
of cake. And his eyes are all of them were made a little cockeyed. Like he was a little cross-eyed. You see him? But he's sealed in the box. And yeah. And the movie, didn't do too well. I think it bombed in 1993.
Oh yeah.
And
some.
yeah, and it's 15 inches tall. But I've always had this weird appreciation for the movie. I always thought the general premise was creative. I mean, how cool is that a villain is going to come back to the real world from a movie to kill the actor of the hero to eliminate the right? They kill Schwarzenegger to kill Jack Slater. I always thought that was really creative. So that always appealed to me. And there he is. 15 inches of talking Jack Slater. I will, thanks for the clapping, Shane. All right, I will pass it to Mike.
All right. Well, you guys probably already know because I kind of spoiled it from last time, but I finally found him in my storage unit.
Wow.
There's the
Chuck
old
Norris.
non-Motu. This is the Chuck Norris Karate Commando. I believe this is like his regular, almost like the classic He-Man. This is the classic Chuck Norris. There were, I want to say 3 or 4 different iterations of Chuck Norris and Karate Commandos, but this was by far my favorite. Wearing that classic blue, I don't even know what you would call that. Bustier. I don't know.
Oh, Chuck.
He's got that karate kick action, which this one, I've had this quite a while. It doesn't work so well. It's supposed to move his arm or something to make it happen. I don't even remember fully how to work it. But yeah, finding him honestly has kind of gotten me back into wanting to collect the entire collection again. So
no.
My wife wasn't too happy about it, but I told her again, it's like 8 figures. And
were they Coleco?
Are they?
Was
what?
it Coleco? Was it Coleco or was it Toy Biz?
Oh.
Like who was it?
I couldn't even tell you. I want to say it's definitely an off-brand. Yeah, Coleco. or maybe even like Remco.
Remco. Yeah, I think it was Remco.
Yeah.
I think you're right. I think it was one of those Coleco, Remco.
Yeah,
right. I think you're right. I
like
think it was.
that.
I think
It's
it was
definitely
Remco.
not Mattel. It's definitely not Hasbro. That's for sure.
Yeah.
What is
brand.
Chuck Norris's definitive movie? Does he have one? Like,
He doesn't have a definitive movie because his tears cure cancer.
good point. I guess.
Now you got me wanting to know the
Delta Force, man.
brand.
It's Delta Force. Come on.
According to the internet, it's Kenner.
Oh, it's Kenner.
Was
Really?
it?
Oh, wow. I thought it was an off-brand. I'm surprised.
I loved when Chuck Norris faced off Bruce Lee. I think it was in Return of the Dragon, and Chuck Norris was a bad guy. I think it was called Return of the Dragon.
It might have been Return of the Dragon or Game of Death, but I think you're right. I think it was
Return of the Dragon. Yeah, is kind of what he's. Delta Force is also
Delta Force, man. Delta Force.
How about Lone Wolf McQuaid?
Oh God.
Or what was that TV show?
Texas Rangers, man.
Yeah,
Texas
Rangers, man. I'm sorry.
And he would sell that workout machine too on those infomercials.
Oh God, what was that thing again? That was it wasn't Tybo.
It was like Total Gym or something like that.
It was the Chuck Norris Total Gym, right? It was like, oh God.
Yeah, I thought that thing would teach me karate. It didn't.
Hawking his wares.
All right, Jay, go ahead and send us home.
Okay, so I'm gonna go back to Master Universe because a lot of people already know this one, but I'll put in a bonus one just in case. But if you watch my channel, it's not hard to know who my favorite Master Universe character is. Ever since I got him, it was just because it was such a really cool gimmick at the time. And as a kid, I got the multi pack with like every single weapon known to man. So it was really kind of special. I didn't even know it was special. I thought they all came with 21 weapons or whatever that was, right? Axes, swords, freaking, what's it called? Slingshots, everything you can imagine with this guy. But it really was his turning head gimmick. It of course is Many Faces. My absolute favorite figure of all time. This is my original one too. So yeah, this is actually Many Faces original, right? And like I said, he was the multi weapon version. So I remember when I got him, it was like he exploded. Like there was like weapons everywhere. So that was a really big memory. And I didn't even know that was a rare thing. So it didn't matter to me. I just wanted the toy. I lost all the weapons are gone now. They're freaking like they've disappeared. They've gone away. Which is ironic because they would paired with him. It's actually a pretty decent thing. But I'd never let him go anyway, so it doesn't really matter. So, but that's an easy one because everybody knows. Like I talk about it all the time on my channel. So the other Master Universe figure, which I've always really liked because he's just so much fun, and I've always wanted to get him back, and actually on a trip to Ohio for PowerCon. And Mike knows we're going to go with that a little later. But I made it a mission while I was at PowerCon looking for a deal. I really wanted to get my hands on this guy, and lo and behold, I didn't even go to PowerCon. It wasn't even a PowerCon where I found this guy. I found this guy at a small toy store called Applejack's, and they probably have 2 different locations in Ohio. Yeah, it's freaking Ratlor, man. Like I love this guy. Like seriously, like this he's got the little rattle. He's freaking, he can like you can put your eye out just by looking at him. Like this guy's freaking awesome, man. Right? And he's
definitely one of my favorite vintage figs.
Yeah, and he's got the Snake Man staff. Like what the hell is even that? Like seriously, you can't even hold it right. Like this thing is so ridiculous and so dumb. I love it. It is so great. You know what I mean?
The good old days when toys would put an eye out. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Go up to your kid's sister and bah, right?
Yeah.
Well, you remember Sorod? Sorod, I think, could breathe sparks. The original vintage toy. Yeah. So you can start a fire with Sorod.
Man. Sorod. Yeah, Sorod.
Yeah. I always say Sorod as a kid.
Yeah.
And
Galoob's what's it called? Black Star. Galoob's Black Star. Like seriously, that like you literally, it's flint. It's flint in his chest, and it's crazy. It's awesome stuff. And what was it called? Cops and Crooks. The what's it called? The caps, you know, just like He-Man.
Yeah, Thunder
Right?
Punch He-Man.
Yeah.
Or just cap guns in general. I would have
Yeah.
a candy cigarette in my mouth and a cap gun.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The dangerous 80s, man. Like
That was freaking awesome.
that's awesome.
In regards to Manny Faces, the one with the weapon set, I think that one didn't say he was a heroic warrior. So there was no way in knowing on that package, the one you had, Jay, that he was heroic. Because I played with Manny Faces as a villain for the longest time until I watched the Filmation.
Yeah, of course. He had a monster face. I didn't know he was a. I didn't know. This is a bad guy. What are you talking about? I don't know what.
Right.
I don't know what they're thinking. This is
robot and a monster.
His freaking face. No, dude, come on. This is the face. This is a nefarious face. That is not a dude you want to trust.
I would agree.
He's got two arrows pointing to the middle of his head. I mean, there is something strange about this man. This man is not to be trusted. He's not.
I wouldn't trust him with my kids.
No, he is not an actor. Not an actor at all.
That's awesome. All right, sir. Do we guys have any sort of plugs we want to plug away before we wrap this up? All right. Visit foreternia.com for all the news, community, and content for Masters of the Universe fans. I started it off. All right. On that note,
guys, if you'd like, please support the Follow Grayskull 2. There's still time to fund the extra stretch goals, Castaspella and Pika Blue. I mean, there's a lot of different characters that could be added to the roster, and I would personally love to see Count Marzo in this movie. I think that would be awesome. And you know what? The more the merrier. Just keep them coming. I would love to see Modulok. I would love to see all these guys. So please check out the Follow Grayskull 2 on Kickstarter. And thank you guys for helping us make that a reality. Mike, thank you so much for coming out, hanging out with me, and making that a reality.
That was awesome. I was gonna say, if you want to give me a follow over on Instagram, that's where my bread and butter is. I also have a YouTube that coming up next month. We got San Diego Comic-Con. I will be attending all days, so I will definitely be following Mike.
I'm gonna be following Mike everywhere.
We gotta link up.
I'm gonna track Mike down. I'm gonna hunt him down.
I tend to try to even sneak stuff, and show things that I shouldn't show for people during panels. So just putting that out in the world.
Let's hope there's a movie panel. It might be too
exactly.
early.
I'm really hoping there will be a Motu movie panel. If there is, you better believe I will be all over it.
I know
anything Motu that happens out there.
I know Val said he's bringing back PowerCon for He-Man fans because of the fan film, but I was thinking anyway he's bringing it because it's going to be too late for SDCC. The movie will already be out. So what a perfect time to bring PowerCon back for He-Man fans when an actual Masters of the Universe big budget film is coming out. It's perfect timing. Shane, you got anything, buddy?
I mean, not much. You can follow me on Instagram, Shane Bloodsnake. I'm pretty boring. I post a lot of stories, but outside of that, you can go check out Powerhouse Animation. We make cool shows.
Shane's got amazing, funny Instagram stories. I'm laughing all the time.
I was going to say, Shane, you just posted one the other day, or maybe it was even earlier today or yesterday, that I was cracking up on.
I was laughing at the Belle Biv and William Dafoe.
That's it. There it is.
Yeah.
I'm forgetting what it was, but it was hilarious.
I love puns.
Yeah. Oh, and was that Mountain Dew real? What was that? Mountain Dew?
The Mountain Dew hot dogs.
Yeah.
No, they're not real.
I'm so gullible. I'm like, where can I buy those?
I would have tried them.
Yeah.
Baja Blast hot dogs.
Oh, God.
Is that freaking AI? AI got me again.
Yeah.
It's going to take away all our jobs. That's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. At least we won't have to work as hard. There'll be an AIJ.
We'll just finish each show hard. And this isn't real.
Those are stupid, man. Seriously.
It's gonna be AI Office. Now we'll have like 6 fingers, but still.
That's another AI thing. That's another AI because they're doing the soccer thing where the dude has 6 fingers, but it's definitely not real. But people are falling for it, man. It's crazy. You gotta fact check everything there. It's ridiculous.
Just think how it'll be in 5 years from now. 10 years from now. Yeah.
I don't want to know.
I don't want to know either. Too scary. So why don't you wrap it up, Jay, so we can hide in our covers?
Sure. Why not? Let's Let's all cower in fear together. Well, that's it. Okay, hold on. Well, that's it, everybody. I would like to thank everybody for. Oh God, let me do that again. Jesus.
There's a script right there.
I know there's a script right there. I'm trying. So the problem is I don't like reading. Well, that's it. I would like to thank everyone for watching. I'm Jay.
Old Shaner.
I'm AJ.
And I'm Mike.
And we're signing off.
This is Shane.